church. So once again, I find myself collecting clay, but I'm not making any pottery today. But using clay can be an amazing way to tell if an animal is utilised in a burrow. It stays pliable for days, and yes, it's accessible in the jungle.
It can be quite a strenuous activity, as you can imagine, trying to find active holes out here in the jungle. And essentially, you're always tending to keep side. It's like a bit of a hill or ravine, because once again, it's easier to dig for the animals. Now, the funny thing is they often give themselves up just with the fresh sort of dirt that you can see that just runs off from where they're digging these holes. But once again, it's so difficult to try and find active holes. And as soon as you're onto them, church, mate, these animals are just off and running. So I've been checking these holes generally once every 2 or 3 days, just to try and get a bit of an idea of exactly what these animals are doing and if they're actually inside of these holes, and then trying to plan my attack that way. That seems to be the best way. What I did yesterday was this. Is I came down here and I smoothed out this hole. Because essentially I wanted to find out if anything was utilising it, and this is something that I want to teach any young ecologists or any young hunters out here. This technique that I use, which is extremely effective in essentially determining whether or not to try and dig something out or chase something out, or knowing whether something is in there, is laying flat clay, smoothing it out. Even with the machete, what I'll do is I'll chop it up, make it nice and fine, make the lines very apparent, so that way you can actually see something moving in. Now you can see there, we have direct footprints, which have led its way in to a nice deep hole. And I know he's in there.
But unfortunately, after weeks using this technique, I figured that the scent left behind by my hands was enough to deter some animals from re-entering the burrows.
It's a pretty nice looking hole, and there's a couple of channels which actually come down into this one area, so this is kind of exactly what I've been looking for. Now, essentially, I believe this to be a packer hole, but it could be an agouti as well. You know, these species seem to share similar kind of habitat types when it comes to burrows like this. So what I like to do is I've been laying those clays down. I haven't had too much success, and I think because the animals obviously smell all that mucking around. So what I'm going to do instead, which is like another little trick that I do, is just get some branches. Don't have to be big, relatively small branches like so. Cut them down. 1, 2, 3. Okay. And essentially, all you want to do is just lay them across the hole. Essentially, this is just going to be as a bit of an indicator to let me know if an animal is in fact coming in or out of this hole. So I'll come check this tomorrow. I'll see what's going on. Alright. Well, church, think we might be in for a bit of luck. Maybe. So, just came down and that's what's happened this morning. So it looks like last night something has returned. So now this is where the fun begins. I brought my shovel just in case, and I'm actually going to try and dig out that hole if I can.
Now, this is all being filmed in normal speed. I would advise anyone going to the jungle to avoid experimenting on white, yellow or cream substances which may inhibit normal bodily functions. Now, not all burrows are as easy as this one to expose. Most jungle animals will dig deep burrows which intertwine under roots and rocks, and mainly in terra firma terrain, which are areas which are above wet season levels. Using nets or burrow entrances and working backwards from the entrance will ensure that the animal is well snookered if he attempts to try and make a speedy escape. Keep watching.
We're on! We're on! We're on. We're on. I'm just gonna... I don't know if it's a packer. Okay, it's backing up. It's backing up. Where do we go? Porcupine. Okay, we got a possum. We got a possum. We got an opossum. Okay, okay, okay. No, you, okay. Oh, Judgy! Judgy! Oh, look at you. Look at you. You're okay. You're okay. You're okay. Now, I'm a little bit disappointed. Okay, hold on. Hold the tree. Hold the tree. Come on, hold the tree. I know you can. Hold the tree. There we go. Now, this guy's is called. This guy is called the common opossum. Let me just make sure this is recording. Let me just make sure this is recording. Can you stay there? Stay there. Let me just do this. Don't you bite. Okay. My feet. My feet. Get off this. Come on. Get off that for a sec. Get off. And the funny thing about this species of opossum is the fact, if you take a close look at it, of its feet, which I'll keep a close up of, is you'll notice that this little guy here is be careful, actually spends a lot of time up in the trees, but he's also a terrestrial species as well. Here, maybe you just hold on to that, and I can talk about you. Now, funny thing about opossums is, generally, when I see an opossum, first thing I think is the jungle scavenger. This guy, quite literally. Having said that, being a jungle scavenger, you'd think, well, he's probably just looking for carrion and, you know, dead food products. But this guy here largely preys on moving animals. So whether it be small mice, small rodents, lizards, insects, worms, quite a varied diet out here in the jungle. I think one of the most, now it's funny because I can actually smell him. He's actually releasing like a really pungent odor. A lot of mammals out here essentially will do that, or release this odor. Essentially predators like me, we don't like that smell. We just want to keep away. Hey, aren't you beautiful? Look at you. Look at you. You smell really bad. Now, the funny thing about this species of animal is often you'll see him absolutely covered in ticks, and this guy, well, he is covered in ticks. I don't know how they do it. I really don't know how they do it. Amazing hearing, amazing eyesight. I'll tell you what, these guys, they've got one hell of a set of teeth on them. Just gonna bring him up close. Just bring him up close. Look at you. Oh, wow. Aren't you amazing? Oh, God. Okay. Now, it's a little bit unfortunate because essentially I've been wanting to get myself a pack of species, but at the end of the day, when digging out holes, you just don't know what you're going to get. And essentially, well, I got you, didn't I? Aren't you beautiful?